long mobility video yesterday and accidentally hit delete and it didn't have an opportunity to post. So it's a little bit of a rough day yesterday, but today's a new day. We're going to do this all over again. If you're new to the mobility stuff, we use props and tools. Improvise, grab a dog toy, a tennis ball, baseball, golf ball, anything like that will help you with most of the stuff that we do. A firm blanket would be good if you do not have a foam roller. I use the deep tissue foam roller because it's what I like the most. That's what we have mostly in here. We have a few that are a little bit less aggressive, but I like that one. But it still works. Especially if you are very tender and you tend to bruise easily, a deep tissue one probably isn't going to be one that's going to be great for you because you don't want to create bruising. All that does is pull blood up underneath the skin, and it's just another area that needs some healing. So we're going to get on our psoas. So if you're new to this, the psoas is deep in your pelvic bowl, so it's clear at the back of your pelvic bowl. If you know what you're doing, go ahead and jump on this. We're going to do a lot of wall work today. So if you wrap your fingers around your hip bones, right where those fingertips are, you can press in. It's like really soft tissue there. So this whole area right here, between the hip bones and the pubic bone, that area is where we want to access. So you don't really want to get on a bone that's not going to benefit you at all. So what we're going to do is start to work through the surface tissue. So all this that you can actually feel with your hands is tight and tense. And so as we lay on that, and we don't want to get on the belly because that's where all the organs are. So right here, when we lay on that, that starts to relax all of the surface tissue. And then those balls kind of creep up in your pelvic bowl here, and it gets deep inside there and accesses the psoas, which is at the back of your pelvic bowl. So it's kind of hard to access. If you got a deep tissue massage, somebody could really push their fingers in there, which I think would be less comfortable than doing this. But this is works really, really, really great. So we're gonna get on this, and I like to do 2 at a time. If you only have one ball at home, you'll just do one side, and then when we're ready to move on to something else, you'll just pause the video and then do the other side, and then pick back up with us when you get both sides done. We like to do both sides because you really need to spend some good quality time on this for this to count. You also don't want to stay up here like this. This keeps the tension or the pressure up off, and so this applies more pressure and really helps you to access that a little bit faster. So we do both at the same time because it's a time saver. It also feels more comfortable than doing one at a time. If you're doing one at a time, you're kind of cocked over to the side, and it's not as comfortable. So if you don't have blocks at home, you can like flip over a cake pan or grab a large book or a couple books that just lift you up off the floor. You don't have to be lifted super high. A blanket is almost too soft because the balls kind of push down in the blanket, so it doesn't push up into the space that it needs to push up into unless you have a really firm blanket. Mexican blankets are really good and firm mostly. So you could use that, but it's still, I've done it on one of these blankets and it doesn't access it for me like I need it to. So unclenching the booty, nice soft legs, and just letting that creep up. If you're new to this, the psoas is the muscle that connects the upper body to the lower body. Everything runs through our hips. It takes on a lot of stress. It takes on trauma. We also call it our emotional muscle. So if you are doing this and all of a sudden feel emotional anytime you do any hip opening things, that's very natural and normal. It just happens. Some people have cried and not know why they're crying. Not because it hurts or anything, it's just an emotional release. It doesn't happen for everybody. So this will help your posture drastically. I encourage this every single day. This and the peanut down the spine, those two things will make a huge improvement on your posture and how your body feels as you go throughout your day. So a good 3 to 5 minutes is what I recommend. Usually in class we're about 2 to 3 minutes, just because we're in a class and we have lots to do. If you're at home, you can hang out on this as long as you want. If you're watching TV, this would be something great to do. There's any of this mobility stuff, you might as well do something instead of sitting, which is one of the worst things you can do for your posture and for your overall health and wellness, is long periods of sitting. And right now, I imagine there's a lot of that going on. So let's break that up, and at least every 30 minutes, get up and do something. You don't have to be up for very long, but just interrupting that seated pattern. So tight hip flexors, tight psoas will affect your back. As we go through the different things that we're going to go through today, have good mind-body awareness so that you can be paying attention to, as you're compressing something, if it shoots a sensation to another part of your body, if you feel a sensation in another part of your body. Everything that we do, there's probably going to be some discomfort because that's fascia that needs some attention and lactic acid that needs worked out. So we don't want to stay away from those areas. We want to work those areas out. If you're not feeling much in an area, then that's a healthier area. We still roll over it and work it out because we want to maintain that health and wellness in that area. If there's any sharp shooting pains, you want to come off of that because there's something else going on there. And I'm not a doctor and I wouldn't be able to diagnose that for you, but it lets you know that there's something going on in your body and you can seek out help for that. So if there's a sharp shooting pain, then just come off of that and look for some answers to find out why you would be experiencing sharp shooting pains there. Sometimes when we land on a spot, we'll feel a sensation in a different part of our body. A lot of times people that come in and I always ask what everybody wants worked out, just because I'd rather meet your need instead of working on something that you don't really feel a need for. The biggest, most common request is low back. And usually when it's low back, it comes from the legs a lot of times, not always. Sometimes it does originate right there, but a lot of times if we take care of the legs, it usually takes care of the low back issues. So that's why I love this class, is because sometimes when we have a pain in a particular area, we just go right to that source and we just treat that area as if that's where it originated from. And we don't really know for sure if that's where that originated from. So doing this helps you to learn some things about your body and where maybe some of those trigger points are for you. So we're just going to be here for one more breath. And coming off of that, and we're going to head to the wall. So we're going to work out the feet. So if you have the mobility kit, you have a prickly ball. If you do not have a prickly ball, you can still use the smooth ball because they have different purposes. So the prickly ball really gets up and works the fascia in the bottom of the feet, which is really nice. The smooth ball I like to use, and in my video yesterday I used the prickly ball, so today I'm going to use the smooth ball. It really feels like a nice massage, and so I like it. So if you're using a ball and you don't have carpet where you're at, you want to place it on a blanket, because if you have a slicker floor or a hard floor, or you don't have a mat, then the ball will kind of want to shoot across the floor, and so this just helps control it a little bit better. If you have a prickly ball, I don't suggest you put it on your mat. We don't do that on our mat. We always do it on a blanket because it like tracks up your mat and kind of junks it up. So we're using a foam roller. If you don't have a foam roller, roll up a towel or a blanket, just like this shape, and we're going to tuck it on we're gonna tuck our right shoulder underneath it, and it doesn't matter, I'm gonna say rights and lefts. We're gonna do both sides, so it doesn't matter which side you do, just balance it out. So opposite leg, opposite shoulder. So right shoulder, left foot, or left shoulder, right foot. What this does, we're gonna start rolling out the inner arch, and I'm gonna talk while we do this. So you're just gonna roll back and forth on that inner arch. And that feels amazing. What this does is helps keep some of the tension out of the shoulders. The muscles in the feet, when you work those out, translates right up into those shoulders. So we all love a good shoulder massage, and we all love a good foot massage. We all love a good hand massage, because those are sources of tension that we hold tension in. And so when we can release that, it feels amazing. So when I have done this before and I've just been standing, my shoulders will tense up like crazy. So what this does is keeps that relaxed for me so that I can work out the feet and not get any tension up here. Because we don't want to try to pull tension up into another area of our body as we're releasing out another area. And we'll get to the shoulders eventually, but we want to stay nice and relaxed. Let's go to that outside edge of the foot. The more you can be relaxed doing this, the better, because when you're working out tense muscles, it's just kind of counterproductive because that muscle is tight and you're having to fight to get through it, to work up into the fibers, to get to the areas that really need to have some attention. So the more you can stay relaxed and loose, then the more effective this is going to be for you, and the less painful it is. When you hold tension, when you hold your breath, and you're holding tension in the body, you're making it way more uncomfortable for yourself than what it needs to be. So just be relaxed as much as you can. I know there are some things that people laugh at me when I say relax because it hurts. However, if you can just like relax into it, it will hurt a lot less. And let's compress right in front of the heel. So you're just gonna apply a little bit of pressure here. So it's like giving yourself a really nice foot massage. Compressing right between the toes. So your toes are kind of bent over, but you're not curling and gripping the ball with your toes. They're just like laying over the top. It'll spread your toes out. You're working the ball of the foot right underneath the toes. And then compress right in the center of the foot and just let your foot melt over. So don't tighten your foot to where your toes are wanting to draw up. That tenses up the foot on the bottom. So let's just relax it. Let the toes fall over. Apply just a little bit of pressure. And then rolling out the whole bottom of the foot. Taking your time, nice and slow. A nice push and pull action through the foot. So like I said before, not every area of your body is going to be uncomfortable or painful or need as much attention. So we find those more intense spots, and that's where we really focus our attention. And so when you find that, that's what you really, really, really want to work out. And it's different for everybody. That's why in this class, everybody looks different, because we're all working a different spot within the same area. And sometimes you gotta finagle your body around, kind of wiggle around to get it worked into the right spot. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. I'll give you more effective ways of doing this, especially when we handle the foam roller, because we all have a tendency to roll in a particular direction, and there's actually a more effective way to using that, but not right or wrong. And let's plant both feet on the floor, and magic. It feels amazingly different. That foot should feel flatter, your toes should feel wider, you should feel all the bones of your feet down. The other foot, you can tell there's a higher arch up in that foot. So now we're going to switch sides. So tucking the other shoulder, the left shoulder, and working the right foot. Opposite shoulder, opposite foot. Inner arch. Making sure that body's relaxed as you kind of fall into the wall. And you don't want to squeeze, whether you have a towel or a foam roller, you don't want to squeeze the shoulder and your head into it, You just want to relax and just let your neck kind of fall into it. Nice soft breathing. I usually play a playlist that is just like relaxing and very chill. I'll post the link in the comments for this playlist. This is kind of my older music. It's just really relaxing. I have a few different playlists that I play for this one. I have one that's like a sing-along. Let's do the outer edge of the foot. And it's just kind of fun, and sometimes people sing, sometimes I sing. It just kind of takes your mind off of what you're doing, helps you to relax and just kind of be chilled out and enjoy it. Higher energy music kind of pumps me up, and it's harder for me to relax when I'm listening to higher energy music, so that's why I pick these more relaxed playlists. Let's compress right in front of the heel. So once you get a feel of this and you've done these things and you're like, oh yeah, we're doing the feet, do whatever you want. Let's compress behind the toes. I will always guide you through something. However, move in a way that makes your body feel good. I mean, if you're like, yeah, I'm not really feeling this, move to a different section. If one foot, let's compress right in the center. If one foot feels way intense and the other one doesn't, quickly roll out the one that doesn't and go back to the other one. Same thing with everything on the body. If we're working on a particular side, you do not have to spend the same amount on each side. We do in class, or I do, just to balance out and to guide you through something, because I can't feel what it feels like in your body. Let's roll through the whole bottom of the foot. However, you can. So if you're like working a leg and you're like, okay, this leg is not too bad, I'm going to quickly roll it out just to maintain it, and then I'm going to go back to those other tender spots on the other leg. Always feel free to do that. And if you feel like you want to stay on the feet longer or on anything that we're doing in here, just pause the video when you're done with this, start it, and pick right back up with this. And you can make this last as long as you want. In class, we're bound to time, but at home, you're not. So you can spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, all night long on it. So it's not like it exerts too much energy. And then your body just feels amazing. One more breath here. And plant both feet on the floor. And that feels amazingly balanced out. You just feel nice and good through the feet, no tension. All right, so if you use the prickly ball, the only things that I really use the prickly ball for in class, well, for me personally, is the feet and the hands. Some people use it on different parts of their body, and I don't, but you can. But on the wall, it's hard to control on the wall, so I don't recommend it on the wall. So we're gonna grab a smooth ball, and we're gonna work the back. So we're gonna work the back in sections. So we're gonna start on the upper part. So think of, like, split your back in thirds. So we're gonna work the upper part, then the middle, then the lower part. And we're gonna work from side to side. And do it at your own pace. You just wanna even both sides out. So I just like do a little bit on this side, and then I roll it over to the other side and do a little bit over there, and then go back and forth. When you're rolling across the spine, just lift your weight up a little bit so you're not pushing hard across the spine. You can also tip down and get the top of that shoulder. So there's a tendency for these balls to fly across the room, and if you haven't dropped it yet, you probably will until you get the hang of it. But as long as you keep pressure on that ball, it should stay in place. It sometimes is like a racquetball court in here. They'll fall, and then they just, like, because it's hardwood floor in here, they just bounce across the room, and they're hard to get a hold of. So work that whole upper section. You can also, so if you don't have a peanut, because we'll use the peanut on the floor. The peanut is hard to control on the wall. You can control it better on the floor. And the peanut is the double connected ball. It keeps the spine lifted up off of it, so there's no pressure on the spine. It works the muscles right down both sides of the spine. If you don't have one of those, you can place this ball right along your spine, right off to the side, and just squat up and down and work both sides. We're still in the upper section. This stuff takes time. My adrenaline junkies have a harder time doing this class just because they have to be still, and it's good for them. It's not only good physically or for you, just not them, everybody. It's not only good for you physically, but it's good for you mentally. We live in a world where we are go, 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 except for right now. It's kind of like some downtime for some, not for everybody. I understand there are still people who are in the field still working, and but there are a lot of people at home with a lot of time on their hands. And so I just kind of look at it as an opportunity to rest, an opportunity to be still and let those adrenals heal, because unless you study it, you're unaware of all the systems of your body. I became very aware of mine when I got sick a few years ago from a stressful situation that our family had gone through, and my adrenals were borderline fatigued. Let's take that to the center of the back. If you start completely upright, then you're going to struggle a little bit more doing more of your back. So bend the knees just a little bit so that you can stand up and you can lower and roll that around. But my adrenals were borderline fatigued, and we're borderline about ready to be shut down. And so your adrenals are what gives you that energy, that ability to keep going and push to the next thing and push to the next thing. Well, when they are fatigued and they're drained, the body will still say, so what other source can we tap into? And they'll start taxing other systems in your body to where one day you completely shut down, your system's shut down, and you can't even function. And nobody wants that. So take care of yourself, learn to rest, learn to appreciate rest, slowing down, doing this. This is the taking care of your body. The exercise part is great. Yoga, I love yoga. I don't know how people live without yoga. However, this takes care of the tissue so that I can experience depth in my yoga practice. Can roll it to the side of the ribs as well and roll out those ribs and get right up underneath that armpit too. When we take care of our bodies, they take care of us. So this is good for your mind. It makes you slow down. It's good for your body. Takes care of all the fascia that we're working out. And if you've not been to my classes and you're new to this mobility stuff, let's take it to the other side, rolling out the ribs underneath the armpit as well. Fascia, and there it goes. Thank goodness I have another one. Our body is wrapped in fascia, like every organ, muscle fibrils, bones, everything is wrapped in fascia. And it's what gives our body its shape. And so whenever we have an injury or we've overused an area of our body, it not only affects that area, but it also affects the other side of our body. So like if I injured an area over here or overused an area, it will like tighten up and dehydrate, and it will pull a knot into it, or just some what we call crunchies. So if I'm standing here, not only has it affected this side, but it's affected this whole side because I'm compensating for it. So we work this out so that it becomes healthy, so that this side is not stressed from the injury that's over here, if that makes sense. And so that's what all of this myofascial release work does. It's one of those things that people struggle with. Let's go to the lower back. Because they don't get the adrenaline rush from it like you do when you're doing a workout, or you're doing a run, or you're doing a high intensity cardio workout or whatever. You don't get the adrenaline rush from it. However, you're doing amazing things for your body, especially if you are a person that does weights, that runs, powerlifting, anything like that. Everybody's body actually needs it. But those of you that are doing weights and things like that and running, you are drawing in all kinds of lactic acid, especially in those legs. And I can always tell because my runners are feeling that when we work out those legs. So we want to work that out and keep that tissue nice and healthy. And I always talk through the entire class because I hate awkward silence. Even though I'm in this room by myself, I hate awkward silence. I've been told that I never shut up. I had a yogi tell her doctor that she does yoga, and I don't know, the doctor said something about it's probably pretty zen or something like that, and she says, no, she never shuts up. So no, I don't. I've got a lot to say all the time. One more breath here. Balance out both sides. Remember, if you're like really enjoying this and this low back is like, yes, I need more of that, pause the video, keep going. Okay, we're gonna work the sciatic area. So it's right across here. So right here is your sacrum. It's a triangular bone right above your butt crack. And we're working right across the top right here. So I kind of just drape my body forward just a little bit and just kind of roll side to side. Couple more times back and forth, and then we're going to do the hips. Rolling to the side. Pin the ball between you, your hip, and the wall. And I just kind of lean my body weight into it. And then I make a circle with my hip. I roll front to back. I sometimes go up and down, just moving that all around that hip. Locate the tender spots, and that's where you want to spend the majority of your time. You can do the glutes from the wall as well. I'm going to do it from the floor today, but you can play around with it and see which option you like better. Once we start to do the glutes, you can pop up on the wall and see if you like it from the wall or stay on the floor with it, either one. If you're using the ball, you can use either one, but if you're doing the foam roller, you definitely want to be on the floor. Also, tools. There are multiple tools that we use in this class. Switching sides. And finding what works for you, what's best for you. Sometimes I switch tools. I don't always use the same tool on each side. Sometimes one side is way more intense and I need to lessen that intensity somehow, so I'll switch out my tools. So don't feel like you have to always use the same tool. Sometimes I have to switch to get deeper into something. I have to switch out my tools, and sometimes I need less intensity, so just make it work for you. One more breath here. And we're going to do a little bit with the neck while we're already standing. So we're going to take the ball off to the side of the spine, right at the base of the head. So your spine goes up, your head sits right here. We're going to be right in that little area where it tees off there. So right here. And you want to lift your hair up out of the way. Whenever the ball is in the hairline, it will pull the hair and it's not comfortable. So I usually just start with my back on the wall. I get this ball in place and I just kind of hold it in place And then I lift my hips up so that I can apply pressure on that part. I look in the direction to the side, where the side that the ball's on, that's the direction I'm looking. So this is going to relieve some sinus pressure. You'll probably feel this going up, that sinus canal kind of like maybe popping open or releasing some things. You might even feel it right up in the side of your temple, going straight up the side of your head. This is so great. And here I told you to hold on to that, and I'm pulling my hair because I didn't hold on to it. This is so great for relieving sinus pressure. If you have any congestion or sinus pressure up in that head, this is amazing for that. Tension headaches, right here through the shoulders going up into the neck, this is a good release for that. And we're going to bring in the crook of the neck. So if you took your left hand, place it over on your shoulder, that's where we're going to work, right there. Same thing. Applying pressure. You don't have to hold the ball on this one, but you want to kind of look in that direction, maybe bring that arm up over the head and just apply more weight into it. And then maybe, if you want, let it roll across the top of the shoulders. So right where somebody would squeeze the top of your shoulders, that's what you're working on. You might have to adjust it on the wall so you can find the right amount of pressure. So this is great that you can do this yourself, because whenever somebody gives you a massage on the shoulders, that's just a touchy area to know the right amount of pressure, not to apply too much, not or enough. Some people really like to be worked into. Some people, if you barely touch them, they're wincing. So this is a great way for you to control that pressure and work that out yourself. All right, the base of the head on the other side. Don't forget to pull the hair out of the way, hold on to it, turn your head in that direction. You can also do this from the floor. And let's take that in the crook of the neck. So if you took your hand right here, that's where those fingertips are. That's where we're placing that. Turning your head in that direction, applying pressure. So if you have a peanut at home, you can do this from the floor as well. And you would just hold on to the ball, let your elbows kind of wing out, and then just turning your head from side to side. It's great to apply really good pressure to those areas. We're going to release more of the neck with the foam roller toward the end of class, because that's how I like to end class. And if you want, rolling across the top of that shoulder. And coming off of that, we're going to bring it down to our mat, and we're going to work the IT band. So the IT band is murder. It is very uncomfortable, but we have multiple ways for you to work that out. So what I think is the least aggressive is the ball. You're going to roll over onto your side, and you're just going to work that side to side, and you're going to keep working that up your leg. And that's the least aggressive because you can control how much pressure you're applying to that. You can roll up a blanket and rock your hips or rock your body side to side on that blanket as you work down the leg. This is pretty non-aggressive as well, still works that out. Foam roller, super aggressive. Or to lessen that, because it's so knobby, you can place a blanket over the top of it. Still very firm, but it's gonna work that out pretty good. So I'm gonna go with aggressive. Do not feel pressured to do aggressive. Listen to your body. So we work, if you're starting at the knee, you're gonna work your way up to the hip. If you're starting at the hip, you'll work your way down toward the knee. We just stay off of the kneecap. The IT band runs down alongside of the leg and wraps around the front of the knee. So we like to get the side of the knee as well. We just don't work over that movable part, the kneecap. If you bruise easily and you feel like this is like super, super intense, then you want to soften it up. Don't force yourself to go through anything that's incredibly painful because you think that it's more effective, because it's not. Bruising just actually makes it worse. So lighten up on it and gradually work out those knots. As you start to roll over things, you'll find tender spots, you'll find knots. Those are the areas you want to focus on. But like I always tell my yogis, you do not have to be off the charts in pain for this to be working for you. So you can, if you're using the foam roller, you can roll all the way to the front of the thigh, catch a little bit of the back of the thigh, roll the whole area. The bonus, the good benefit of the foam roller is covers more surface area. The ball tends to really work up into particular spots and pinpoint those areas. So for me, I switch out. Once I get halfway, like this is halfway, I'm getting closer to my knee, I'm gonna switch out to the ball because I don't wanna create tension in my shoulder by holding my upper body up. So I'll switch it out for the ball and work out the rest of my leg. Work the outside of the knee. If you started with the knee and you're up to the hip, you can work the hip if you want, and you don't have to go back to the knee. Just hit those areas that need it. As you're rolling around on the floor too, like I can feel it in my glutes. I can feel knots in my hips, so I know that I've got some work there to do. And switching sides. Sometimes when you're sitting on a chair and the back of the legs, where the back of the legs hit and you like move side to side or something, you'll roll over a knot and you'll feel that. So you can work the side of a chair, the end of the chair. Always taking your time, spending time on those tender areas. Switching out tools if you want. do one more section and then I'm gonna move to the ball. Doesn't mean you have to, that's just what I'm gonna do. Just rolled over a huge knot in my thigh. Almost feels like a speed bump when you roll over it. It's like a big bump, bump when you go over it. So, I mean, there's no denying it when you find one. And I'm switching that out. And let's work the outside of the knee if you haven't done the outside of the knee yet. And let's work the glutes. So you can use the ball or you can use the foam roller. You can use a firm blanket if that's intense enough for you. The foam roller is going to work a larger surface area. Just use half of it. So if you try to put your booty on the whole thing, you're not going to be able to roll side to side real well. So just kind of get on half of it and then just work back and forth. I like the ball because the ball really gets up into the tissue. Remember, your glute is a large area, so it's not just this part right here. It's from the bottom of your booty up to here, all the way over here. So this whole area is what we're working out. So if you're using the ball, you just slide it underneath that glute and just roll around on it until you come across a knot, which you will find, and work out those areas. Sometimes in class, I don't know if you heard that because the microphone is so sensitive. Sometimes in class, because it's on wood floor, if I'm up on my platform, because it's so hollow, when I go over a knot, it like thumps on the floor. And it can be quite loud. Be able to hear that. I could hear the clock ticking in one of our videos. Normally there's music playing, so it's not as loud, but so when you're rolling out your body and you're really in tune to what this is doing for you, be thinking about what is connected to what as you're rolling this out, how it's affecting your body. Think about your hamstrings running up the back of your legs right into your glutes, and your glutes run right up into your back, and how that's all connected. And how if all of the back of this is really, really tight, how that's going to draw your body forward, and it's going to affect your posture. So that's why we tend to have back issues, is from these leg muscles being tight. And let's switch sides. It pulls and strains on our back. When we sit, our hip flexors shorten right here. So it shortens and tightens, and so when we go to stand up, it draws our back forward because this is tight right here. So when we get this open, then our spine can open up and have more space. Also relaxing the tension in the muscles around the spine, because as those muscles tighten around the spine, it draws our spine forward. So if we can relax that, we have better posture. And just better posture just makes you feel good overall. Also thinking about, I mean, we learn it when we're in school. We would learn about our central nervous system being our spine. But I don't think we make the connection, or at least I didn't make the connection on how important that is. I mean, it is your central nervous system. It is what gives your entire body the signals from the brain down through the spinal column out to the other parts of your body. And if those areas are pinched off, and I learned this just less than 10 years ago, like 6 years ago, is when I really learned about it. I had two vertebrae at the base of my neck completely pinched off. And those are the areas that send out signals to your thyroid, and I was having thyroid issues. And I had been medicated for 14 years for a thyroid issue that I might not have actually had. It just might have been that my body wasn't receiving the signals it was supposed to tell the thyroid to do what it needed to do because they were pinched off. I'm no longer on thyroid medication. I take herbal supplementation to support my thyroid, but I'm not in great need of medication, which was killing off my thyroid anyway. So, keeping the vertebrae, keeping space between each of the vertebrae is super vital for health and wellness and good function in your body. So we want to make sure that we take care of our spine and posture. Being aware of your posture is one way that we do that. All right, we're gonna open up the spine with a peanut. We're almost done. What I like to do in class is I don't particularly like to just focus on just the back or just the legs. I usually do something in upper body and lower body somehow, because when you leave class, I want you to leave feeling really good. I don't want you to get up and be like, okay, my back feels great, but my legs are really tight, or my legs feel great, but my spine is like really tight. I want you to leave feeling good. So I usually hit on the upper body and the lower body somehow. And each class is different. So we're gonna plant that between our shoulder blades. Make sure you pull your hair up out of the way, otherwise it'll wrap around that ball and pull it right out. Also, if you have loose clothing, that ball tends to get wound up in your shirt. So you can just pull the material tight here, otherwise it'll roll up in it. So let's start to work down. So as you work down an inch or so, just let your ribs sink into the floor, because a lot of times when we're on it, we pull our rib cage up, we have this arch in our spine, and we want that to just sink back down to the floor. And if you want, you can bring those arms in front and you can rock side to side. And then work it down another spot. And then side to side. It's going to help you to get a little deeper on each side. And different parts of your back is going to be more tender than others. Up toward my shoulders, I don't feel very much, but I still like to roll over those to maintain that fascia. But as I work toward the upper center part of my back, that's where it's most intense for me. to the middle lower back. You can tip the knees side to side, getting a little deeper on each side. Just gonna take a couple more breaths to finish off this back. So again, like I said, if you don't love this or you just have one single ball, you would do this up against the wall with the one ball and you would squat up and down. Right alongside your spine, not on the spine, but right beside your spine. One more breath here. And taking that out, squeezing those knees up into the armpits, rolling out the ankles both directions. And let's bring that up, grabbing your foam roller. If you don't have a foam roller, you can still use the ball on the back and just kind of roll all around it. This is one of those things to where if we were working out, specifically the back, I would have us rock side to side. And you can still do that here if you want, but just for a quick rollout, not really working out lactic acid, but just kind of rolling over the muscles just to kind of release the tension in them is what my intention is here. We're just gonna work the upper back first. So from the top of the shoulders to the bottom of the shoulder blades, just that upper section, elbows kind of winging out so it gets the whole span of your back. So this just relaxes. So if you just want something to relax the tension in your back, this works pretty good. But if you really want to work out lactic acid and fascia, you want to work side to side. Side to side is always more effective because it lets those little knobby pieces in the foam roller get up into that tissue. Let's work the center part. So from the bottom of the shoulder blades to the bottom of the ribs. So try not to be tense here. Try to relax as much as you can. And then to get the lower part, I usually pull that to my low back, take my shoulders to the floor, and I pull my knees up. Elbows on the floor, and then my hands are out to the sides, and I tip my knees side to side and let my hands catch my knees. If you don't enjoy that, then you can place the feet on the floor, and you can still tip those knees side to side. So whichever works good for you. And lengthen the legs. Since we're not doing the foam roller in this class, this just gives you a nice opening through the low back, through the hip flexors here, and just letting the shoulders soften toward the floor, relax the legs. One more breath here. You're going to slide the feet up, lift the hips, take that foam roller out, and then squeeze those knees up into the armpits, rolling out the ankles. And rolling that up. Before we finish, Off today, we're just going to do a few vinyasas, a few sun salutations, just to kind of finish stretching out and opening up the body. I don't always do this in my mobility class. I rarely do this in my mobility class, but I just feel like I want to finish off with that today. So let's bring that into mountain pose. Nice alignment through the spine, one nice long line. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, forward fold. Hang and let those hamstrings soften. Maybe rock the hips side to side. We usually give this time to let those hamstrings wake up a little bit. You can rock the upper body side to side. You can pedal knees back and forth, whatever works good for you. Take a breath. Exhale, sink into it. Take another breath. Exhale, drop a little deeper. And one more breath. And exhale. Good, strong back, inhaling all the way up, exhaling, namaste. Prayer hands. Stretch out the fingers and wrists. Inhale all the way up. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Take it back to plank. Drop to the knees. Untuck the toes. Tuck the pelvis in. High through the heart. Good plank pose. Lower chaturanga, scraping the ribs with those triceps. Slide through up dog. Pull the shoulders back. Pull the heart forward. Belly soft. Sink the booty back. Tuck the toes. Down dog. Tighten up the down dog by taking a tiny step forward and pedal out those heels. Centering the left foot, sweeping the right leg up, three-legged dog of your choice, open hip, close hip, or bent knee, pushing the chest toward the thighs. And then bring the knee up into the chest, rolling forward on the toes, plant the foot, step it to the front, good, strong back, inhaling all the way up. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, half lift. Exhaling, forward fold, take it back to plank. Knees or toes, work through that vinyasa. Meeting me in down dog whenever you're ready. Centering the right foot, sweeping the left toes up, three-legged dog of your choice. Pulling the knee up into the chest, rolling forward in the toes, plant the foot, step it to the front. Good, strong back, inhaling all the way up. Every time you go through this sequence, you should feel the hips opening up, the spine relaxing, exhaling, forward fold, getting more and more limber. Inhale, half lift. Exhaling, forward fold, take it back to plank. We're just going to do this 2 more times. Knees or toes, chaturanga, up dog. Pull the heart forward, pull the pubic bone down. Down dog. Centering left foot, sweeping right leg up, three-legged dog of your choice. Pulling the knee up into the chest. Quietly plant the foot, step it to the front. Good, strong back, inhale all the way up. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold, take it back to plank for your last vinyasa. Melt that heart forward, pull the pubic bone down toward the floor, shoulders behind the chest. Meet me in down dog and pedal out those heels. Centering the right foot, sweeping the left toes up, three-legged dog of your choice. And bringing that knee to the front, plant the foot, step it to the front. Good, strong back, inhale all the way up. Exhaling, namaste. And we're going to finish off in our Shavasana. So in this class, Shavasana looks a little bit different than in my other classes. We use the foam roller, which I love. This is going to relax you so much. It's another benefit of having this. So you might not get quite the same effect if you don't have a knobby one or a foam roller, but you can roll up a towel and put that behind your neck or a blanket. This is gonna go right at the base of the head. So your head's not gonna be hanging over it. It's gonna be like a pillow tucked underneath the base of your head. And you're gonna roll it side to side from ear to ear. So bringing that back, put yourself on a nice Shavasana song. Something that's nice and relaxing. And you can keep your knees bent, or you can lengthen the legs. I kind of like my knees bent. We're going to start over at the right ear. Relax the shoulders down. And we're going to work super, super, super slow. So you'll feel these little knobby pieces pushing up into the back of your head and the back of the base of the head. And we're going to work super slow, taking it over to the left side. And I mean like super, super slow. Making sure you work all the way behind that ear, and then once you reach the left side, you're going to take it all the way back over to the right, super, super slow. This should really relax you. You might feel that through your sinuses, through your temples, through your forehead. If you have a headache, this is a great thing to do to relieve some of that pressure in your head. Sinuses, congestion, this is awesome.